You decide to go silent, believing that the moment you pull back, she'll finally feel your absence. You expect her to wonder where you went, to miss you, to feel that quiet ache. But instead, she looks completely unbothered. No messages, no reaction, almost as if nothing changed at all. So, what's really happening inside her mind? And more importantly, what can you do to make your absence impossible for her to ignore? Stay with me, because this isn't simply about staying quiet, it's about understanding how silence truly works and how to make every moment of it count in your favor. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth. Silence doesn't always work, and when it fails hard. Silence is a double edged tool. When used with intention and self respect, it can create space, curiosity, and emotional reflection. But when it's used from a place of anxiety or desperation, it often backfires. Many people fall into the same trap. They believe that if they just stop texting, stop calling, stop reaching out, she'll suddenly realize how important they are. But here's the reality: silence only works when it comes from strength, not from need. Picture this: you stop talking to her, but deep down you're still checking your phone every few minutes, wondering if she's noticed yet. You're emotionally still right there, waiting. And on some level, she senses that. When silence is driven by attachment rather than independence, it loses its power. Real silence isn't a strategy to provoke a reaction, it's a natural outcome of choosing yourself. Women are incredibly perceptive when it comes to intention. If your silence feels forced, calculated, or manipulative, it doesn't inspire respect. Instead, it can come across as immature or even needy. True silence isn't about trying to control her emotions. It's about stepping back for your own growth, your own clarity, and your own self respect. When silence becomes a byproduct of self worth, it carries weight. Without that foundation, it's just empty space. Now let's talk about another mistake that ruins the entire process: expecting instant results. Patience is one of the hardest things to practice when emotions are involved. After going silent, many people secretly set a mental countdown. Tomorrow she'll notice. In a few days she'll miss me. By next week she'll reach out. But human emotions don't operate on your timeline. Silence is not a shortcut. It's a slow burn. If she's used to you always being there, always reaching out, your absence won't hit immediately. In fact, at first she might feel relief. She might think, okay, space. But as days turn into weeks, something changes. That sense of relief fades, and curiosity takes its place. Doubt follows. Questions begin to surface. Why hasn't he texted? Is he really done? Did he move on? The problem begins when you sit there waiting for proof that it's working. That mindset keeps you emotionally dependent on her response, and it weakens the entire process. Real silence means releasing expectations. It means no longer seeking immediate reassurance. The absence of instant results doesn't mean silence has failed. It simply means the emotional impact is still forming beneath the surface. Silence is a long game, and those who understand it know that patience is part of its power. Now, here's something most people misunderstand. Women process silence very differently than men. When a man goes quiet, he often assumes she'll notice right away and feel the impact instantly. But women experience emotions in layers. At first, she may not even register your absence. She believes she knows the pattern. She assumes you'll come back. But over time, that confidence begins to crack. As the silence continues, questions creep in. Why hasn't he reached out? Why does this feel different? Has something changed? That's when the emotional shift begins. And here's the key part: women are far better at hiding their emotions than men. Even when your absence starts affecting her, she won't show it right away. From the outside, she may look calm, unaffected, even indifferent. But internally, her mind is replaying moments, analyzing conversations, and reevaluating choices. Silence works because it forces emotional confrontation. It creates space for feelings she may have been avoiding, not just missing you on the surface, but missing the energy, attention, and presence you brought into her life. It's subtle, it's gradual, but when it finally lands, it lands deeply. Now, let's address one of the most important elements of all. What you do with your silence matters more than the silence itself. Silence without self-improvement is like a car without an engine. It goes nowhere. One of the biggest mistakes people make during no contact is doing absolutely nothing. They sit around, replaying scenarios, wondering if she's thinking about them. But no contact isn't about waiting. It's about becoming. Ask yourself honestly, since you stopped talking to her, what has changed in your life? Have you invested in your health, your confidence, your purpose? Or are you simply hoping your absence alone will be enough? Here's the truth most people avoid. No contact isn't about making her miss you. It's about becoming someone worth missing. Growth changes everything. When silence is paired with progress, it sends a powerful message. You're not stuck, you're moving forward, and women are naturally drawn to men with direction and purpose. When she eventually notices your growth, whether through social media, mutual connections, or seeing you in person, it creates a shift. She begins to question her assumptions. Did I underestimate him? Did I let go of something meaningful? That's when silence transforms from absence into impact. Because here's what truly makes her notice. It's not the silence itself, it's the energy behind it. Silence without substance fades into the background. But silence paired with confidence, momentum, and fulfillment becomes unforgettable. Women are incredibly sensitive to emotional energy. They can feel when a man is thriving, and they can feel when he's waiting. When your focus shifts completely away from her and back onto yourself, something powerful happens. She senses the detachment, the independence, and that emotional shift creates curiosity, tension, and reflection. She starts asking herself questions you never needed to ask her. Why does he seem happy without me? Did I make a mistake? And that leads us to something critical. Why chasing always backfires? Chasing someone who has pulled away instantly shifts the balance of power. It sends a message, whether intentional or not, that you value their approval more than your self-respect. And that erodes attraction. When you chase, the mystery disappears. The tension fades. There's nothing left to wonder about because you've revealed everything. And human nature craves what feels just out of reach. By chasing, you make yourself too available. And constant availability often leads to being taken for granted. The alternative isn't coldness or manipulation, it's patience and dignity. When you pull back with confidence, you give her space to feel the loss on her own terms. You allow reflection to happen naturally. And most importantly, you show that your life doesn't revolve around her validation. That alone changes how she sees you. Now let's talk about the psychological power of absence. When you remove yourself from someone's daily life, you create a void, and that void forces reflection. Silence gives the mind room to wander, and wandering minds revisit memories. She begins replaying moments, questioning decisions, and filling in the gaps you left behind. When someone becomes part of a routine, their absence disrupts emotional comfort. The brain tries to restore balance by searching for answers. Why hasn't he reached out? Is he talking to someone else? Did I misjudge him? But here's the truth. The impact of absence depends on the value you brought while you were present. If your presence was supportive, grounded, and emotionally enriching, your absence will feel significant. That's why personal growth during silence is non-negotiable. At some point, she may reach out. It could be casual. A simple, hey, a random question, or something more emotional. This moment is critical. How you respond, or whether you respond at all, can shape everything moving forward. The instinct to jump in immediately is strong. Resist it. Reacting too quickly or too eagerly can undo the progress you've made. Instead, pause. Assess her intention. Is she genuinely curious or simply checking if you're still available? When you do respond, keep it calm, confident, and light. No emotional dumping. No revisiting the past. Let her see that your life is full, active, and moving forward. That quiet confidence speaks louder than explanations ever could. And finally, confidence. Confidence is the foundation of attraction. Not loud confidence, not forced confidence, but quiet certainty in your worth. If your silence comes from insecurity, she'll sense it. But if it comes from self assurance, it becomes powerful. Confidence isn't about pretending, it's about knowing you're enough, with or without anyone's approval. When you build a life you're proud of, people feel it. And here's the most important part of all: no contact is not a game, it's not manipulation, it's not about control, it's about rediscovering yourself. When you stay true to who you are, set boundaries, and prioritize your well being, you win. Regardless of the outcome, whether she returns or not, you come out stronger, clearer, and more grounded than before. Because in the end, this journey isn't about getting someone back, it's about getting yourself back. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, your value was never defined by anyone else.